Welcome to this episode of Safe Home Podcast for struggling teens and their families finding their healing path. I'm Beth Syverson, a mom of an 18-year-old son, Joey, who has been dealing with drug addiction, depression, anxiety, and suicidal ideation for several years. I am walking beside him as he struggles with his recovery while I work on my own personal growth and healing. Today's guest is Ellen Newhouse, a healer, author, podcaster, and actor from the Seattle area. Her memoir is called Nothing Ever Goes On Here, and she's the podcast host of Heart and Soul with Ellen Newhouse. For the past 31 years, Ellen has been in private practice combining transformational healing with acupuncture, sound healing, and energy medicine. She has so much going on in her life, but in this episode, we're going to focus on sound healing as a means to heal trauma. She's worked with lots of struggling teens as well as their parents. So thank you for being here at Safe Home, Ellen. Welcome.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. I am so excited to talk about sound healing.
Oh, me too.
Yeah.
Me too. I've delved into it just a tiny bit, sound baths and things like that. And it is so powerful. And as a musician, of course, I guess I get sound healing all the time when I play music.
Right.
Well, and I wanted to just thank you at the beginning here for caring for our little family. You've always been so supportive and intuitive and understanding and compassionate toward our journey with Joey. And so I really appreciate that and your willingness to come here and help us and all of the people listening with their families that are struggling. So
Absolutely. It is my joy. And, if Joey ever gets to listening to this, I just want to give him a shout out and say, I am holding space for you. I see you clean and sober and walking a new path. So I'm just going to hold space for that.
Yes, I would love that. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Well, okay. Sound healing and these other alternative healing things that you do, is that how you grew up? Did you kind of grow up with,
No.
Not at all.
Not at all. In fact, I grew up in a fairly conservative Jewish home. And in the generation I grew up in, actually, doctors were considered sort of demigods. And when I was 26 years old, I woke up after getting the biggest and best job of my life a year and a half earlier, and I couldn't breathe. And I was like, all right, what are we going to do? And in those years, I smoked cigarettes. So I ran and I got a cigarette. And in my infinite wisdom, I thought, all right, if I can watch the smoke going in and out, I'm good. And I got dressed and put on my tennies and went off to work. And by 11 o'clock, I had to say, Uncle, my breathing was not right.
What happened?
I would spend the next 2 years having it studied, having my situation studied, and we all came to the same conclusion. I am not getting enough oxygen, but they had no idea why I wasn't breathing optimally. And at the very last doctor's appointment I had, I was offered good news and bad news, and I was like, all right. And they said, well, the bad news is we really don't yet know what's wrong. But the good news is we have a solution. And I leaned in all excited and I said, yes. And they said, we're going to give you an oxygen tank.
Oh, no.
Yes. So at that point, I was now 28 years of age. And I was like,
accessory.
no, that is not a solution. And in those days, so this is in the mid 80s, this was well before alternative medicine existed. So I thought the only thing I could do at that point was to go home and talk to the main man. And I got on my hands and knees and I prayed to God. And I said, look, I am not ready to die, but I need your help. Like, you need to get down here right now. Well, he didn't. But what I did was that I committed to a prayer practice like none other. I mean, it became my full-time job.
Wow.
And within 1 month, Beth, my entire life changed. My entire beingness changed.
So your lungs improved and...
Well, not exactly.
Okay.
But what happened was that my mind changed. And I now became open to listening to the voices that I was hearing in my head. And what's difficult about that is that I grew up with a mom who suffered from severe mental illness.
Oh.
So when you start hearing voices,
no.
you're thinking, exactly, you're thinking, here I go, I'm going down the same path as my mom, right?
Uh-huh.
The path that I have spent my entire life railing against.
Yeah.
But I decided there was nobody else who could help me. So I decided to begin to follow those voices. And they led me to the most incredible healers I have ever met. So it encouraged me to take a healing journey that at that point in life, not many people were going on these healing journeys.
Yeah, nowadays it's like the cool thing to do, but
exactly. But then it was like, well, what do you, there weren't places you could go. I mean, it wasn't established yet.
Yeah.
So I was like, all right, I'm there. I am taking this journey because I don't know what else to do. Long story short, it was a 5-year-long journey. And at the end of those 5 years, in which I learned so much, and that's what a lot of my first book is about, that at the end of the 5 years, I was like, I'm good. I'm ready to go back to work. I feel healthy. And I was like, well, what am I going to do? And at that point, my last job had been in high-level sales at Vanity Fair magazine.
Oh, wow.
And I thought, all right, I'll make appointments and do high-level sales again. And at every single interview, all the symptoms began to come back.
Okay.
So I went back to God and I said, what do you want with me? And one night at 3 a.m., I heard, you need to become a healer.
Oh, wow.
And I was mortified. I was like, no, that is not what I want to do. I don't even have degrees. I had a degree in economics and a degree in international relations, but nothing to do with healing. Anyway, after crying for a month, I was like, all right, I accept. And I said to God, listen, here's the thing. I'll get an office, but you need to bring me people. Now, I did not imagine that would ever happen. And I thought, all right, I'm off the hook, right? Right. So I made this agreement. I got an office and my phone started ringing.
Oh, gosh. Be careful what you ask for, right?
I know. And I was like, what? And I tried to convince everyone not to come. I said, I have no degrees. They didn't care. No, that's fine. I was shocked.
Wow.
And and I am getting to the sound healing, I promise. And within about 8 to 12 weeks of doing this healing that I was being shown to do by guides that work with me, one day I heard, you need to put this sound into that person's knee. And I was like, absolutely not. I am drawing the line. Because at that point, I didn't think I had a good voice. I had many issues with my voice. And I didn't want to use my voice. I mean, plus, I'm doing freaky enough things at that point in life. Yeah. Now, singing to people's bodies, come on. Right?
Yeah, you're like, what kind of joke is this, God? What are you doing to me?
Exactly. I was like, I was mortified.
Oh, man.
So then I started to get these horrific headaches. And about 6 weeks later, I connected the dots that my unwillingness to use my voice was also creating these headaches. So I succumbed and I put sound into a person's, actually it was her shoulder. And oh my goodness, the healing that happened for her, and my headaches went away.
Wow.
And that was, so that was the very beginning of me learning how to use sound for healing.
Wow, that's incredible. So many people suffer from chronic pains, migraines, and stomach issues, and everything. And they just figure, okay, well, I guess that's just how it is, or I'm getting old, or whatever. And people just deal with it. But it sounds like you really figured out that your body was trying to tell you something.
Oh, absolutely. And I mean, you don't want to walk around in life not being able to breathe easily.
Yeah, you would like to get that fixed.
Yeah, and it also created a lot of anxiety. And so It was a lot of things put together. And so for anyone who's listening, if you are struggling with any kind of pain, any kind of chronic issues, I am here to tell you firsthand, you do not have to live with pain. You do not have to live with any kind of disorders, because that is our body saying something is imbalanced.
Yeah.
And that goes with, any kind of addiction, whether it would be drug addiction or porn addiction or eating disorders. Any kind of addiction is simply a call from our bodies and our spirits to come home to ourselves. Now, it's not an easy journey.
No, not at all. But it's like knocking on the door, say hello, and it starts, at least for me, it starts out small, like hello, knock, knock, knock. And then
Yes.
if you don't listen, it just starts pounding harder and harder and harder, and more pain, more discomfort, more whatever, more out of controlness, and until
Yes.
you stop and go, okay, what do you want? What are
Yes.
you trying to tell me?
Yeah, and it's not always crystal clear. It's
Mm-mm.
not like all of a sudden I got this magical understanding.
Yeah.
And I want people to know that, because sometimes I think it looks like, oh, that person was just suddenly healed. That's not really the truth. These journeys take a long time. And
Yeah.
I believe once you are graced, and I say that wholeheartedly, once you are graced to be on the journey of healing, you will be healing for the rest of your life. That's what we do. That's why we come to planet Earth.
Yes, yes, yes. I don't know if you noticed in my intro, I always call it struggling teens and their families on their healing path, because we
Yes,
are going to continually be on a healing path forever. We're never going to get to the
absolutely.
end. Well, I guess maybe when we die.
Yes, and then
That's
and
the
then
end.
it keeps
Then you start
going
all over
on,
again, or
right?
whatever happens. I don't know.
or it's on a continuum.
Yeah, yeah. All right,
Yeah.
right, right. Yeah. So this path of just self-awareness, self-compassion, and healing, that's what you live in, right? That's your whole world.
Absolutely. And are there days where I'm really pissy? Yes. So if you are pissy, I want to congratulate you. I think sometimes this notion that a healing path looks like kumbaya, it does
Mm,
not.
mhm,
We go up and down and all through all the human feelings of anger, frustration, boredom, fear, grief, sadness, um, discompassion to ourselves,
mhm,
hatred. I think so often we can get into a mode of feeling that our bodies have disappointed us,
mhm,
that they have betrayed us, or that there is something so wrong with me that, I find myself in pain or in constant conflict with myself and others.
mm,
I think that the healing journey is to discover who you truly are. And in
mm.
my opinion, who you truly are is divine love,
Oh, nice. That's beautiful.
but exists underneath the piles and piles of
Oh,
emotions and, darkness and gray and red and
yeah.
pink and blue and all the different colors that we are made up of as human beings. And
Mhm.
so if you're listening to this and you are pissed off, I say, Amen. It is okay. And I congratulate you for being willing to feel that.
Mhm.
Now, what
Mhm.
I suggest to you is that you not sit with it, you not
Mhm.
keep it in your body. So, what can you do? All right, I'm going to give you a sound healing tool for
Okay.
anger.
Ooh,
Okay.
yes.
So if you're feeling anger, or I'll put frustration in the same camp, or anger and frustration in the same camp, feeling any of those feelings, or you're feeling trapped, that's another one we could put in the same. What I want you to do is I want you to feel it inside your body. Where does it live? I think so often we're trying to get rid of anger or ignore it or deny it
Mm,
that we have anger, especially women.
Mm-hmm.
It's a cultural issue.
Yeah, it is.
So if you're sitting there with it, I want you to notice, where does it live in your body?
Mm.
So right now, take a scan.
Mm.
Do you notice it in your head? Do you notice in your throat? Do you notice in your chest? Do you notice in your stomach? A lot of anger sits in people's stomachs
Mm-hmm.
and cause a lot of problems.
Yeah.
You notice in your legs, in your arms. Where do you notice it? Then, what I want you to do is I want you to take a deep breath. And I want you to exhale so that the breath is representative of how you feel. So it might sound like this. Ah, like that, like a whoa. Can you feel that, Beth?
Wow. Yeah. Yeah. I could feel
Yeah.
that. You're far away from me. Well, yep. Yep.
Yeah. So, and right now, Beth, can you feel any anger as we went through this scan? Did you feel any anger or frustration in your own body?
Oh, yeah. You said anger, and I'm like, oh, there it is in my stomach right there.
Good. All right. So right now, what I want you to do, if you're game, are you
Sure.
willing?
Sure.
All right. I want you to take a breath. Now that you've felt it, I want you to take a breath and let's put it on a ha, on a ha. Really
Okay.
get it out. Like imagine the anger coming up from your stomach and out your mouth. So take a
Okay.
breath.
Ha.
Oh, good. Oh,
I don't know
excellent.
where that came from.
Excellent. Now, feel your stomach. That's just one time. Feel your stomach now. How does it feel?
It's a little enlivened, like hello, like it feels like, oh, hello, you're paying attention to me.
Excellent.
Yeah.
And what you'll notice is that when you don't make it wrong
Mm-hmm.
for feeling angry, then you can have conversations with,
Mm.
oh, hi, I notice that you're angry. I want to hold space with you. Like you said, you walk beside Joey.
Mm-hmm.
Let's walk beside these emotions rather than judging them,
Mm-hmm.
rather than criticizing
Yeah.
them, and say, hi, can I
Hey,
walk
what?
beside you?
Yeah.
Now, sometimes in the beginning, the emotion may not want to have anything to do with you.
Mm-hmm.
It might flip you off with the little bird, or it may just go silent. But if you stay with it
Mm-hmm.
and you keep visiting it and you keep, touching base with it, it's like having a good friend
Mm-hmm.
that we don't ignore.
Yeah, that's so good because through this couple of years with Joey, there's been many times where I've added guilt on top of everything. Guilt,
Mm-hmm.
the sadness and the anger and the frustration and the terror and the fear, and then I add guilt on top, and that does not help. So
Mm,
when you sit and judge whatever you're feeling, that just piles on. It doesn't help
right.
anything. It just makes now you have to deal with the guilt you're also feeling.
Exactly. Now you've added
Okay,
another color and
another
another
layer.
layer.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that's
So
great.
if you find yourself feeling guilt like Beth did, I want you to say, I forgive myself.
Mhm.
It's okay.
Mhm.
I don't need to guilt myself for
Mhm.
an emotion that is true for me.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. Yeah, where do we learn that from? I think that's a cultural thing. Women especially have learned to be guilty about a lot of things we don't need to claim.
Right. And I think that some of it came a long, long time ago from a religious idea that if I was, a good
Oh.
person, then I wouldn't feel these things.
Oh, right. Right.
Hmm.
If I were virtuous, I wouldn't have these bad
Exactly.
feelings. I see.
Exactly. Yes.
Hmm.
So there's no virtue in denying our own
Yeah.
feelings.
Yeah. Dig in there. Oh my gosh, it's so hard though. It's
It
better with a
is.
guide like you though that can walk you through, right? If people just try to do this all by themselves with no tools in their bag,
Yeah.
you're just like, well, it's easy to get overwhelmed with all of the
A-
feelings.
Absolutely.
But someone like you
Absolutely.
that is a healer and a guide, or I don't know, what do you call yourself?
A healer, transformational healer.
Yeah.
But I like a guide. I like the
Yeah.
idea of a guide.
Just
Yeah,
walking beside and helping process what's coming out, because it can be pretty scary when you
absolutely.
start uncovering feelings you don't want to really pay attention to. I mean, that's why they get stuck in our
Absolutely.
body, right? Because we're not willing to deal with them. So the feelings get
Yes.
stuck. So it's so smart to go find a healer and whatever ilk, there's so many different ways you can go, right?
Oh, absolutely.
Nowadays.
These days, there are a plethora. There's almost too many to get
Yeah.
confusing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
But for every single emotion, we can use sound.
Ah. Different
You know,
sounds go with different emotions?
yes.
Ah.
So to get that anger out, we used ha.
Mhm.
But let's say you feel very constricted. Let's say
Mm.
your heart, especially, feels very constricted. We can use the sound of E.
Hmm.
So, right now, I want you to feel into your heart and just notice if there's any constriction.
Mm.
And now just receive the sound. And take a breath in and just
Ah.
notice, how did that
Ah.
sound?
That was very interesting. So, when I first noticed, how my heart was feeling, I felt on the far left side of my heart chest area, I felt this tightness, so like a pinching.
Mm-hmm.
And as you sang, it was just like I don't know what you did. It was just like the right pitch, just right there, and it just sort of loosened and relaxed. That was
Ah,
really neat. I
great.
don't know
Now
how you
what?
can do that over Zoom anyway. That is, like, incredible.
Well, it's vibration.
The sound comes through, right?
Right, you think of sound waves.
Yeah.
There are many sound waves going
Uh-huh,
on all the time,
uh-huh,
and so this is just another form of a sound wave.
uh-huh,
And then I work with my intention.
uh-huh.
So it's not just the sound alone, but it's the intention
Uh-huh, uh-huh,
to open that area of
uh-huh,
constriction.
uh-huh.
And then I visualize the sound going in there.
Mm.
And then, because we're dealing with constriction, I'm using a tone that can envelop the constriction, rather than need it piercing. Like,
Ah.
I kind of saw it piercing.
Uh-huh.
And if I met it with, say, like that
Oh.
would just encourage it to stay, right?
Yeah. Right, right, right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Ah,
So
interesting.
the sound becomes nuanced after a while
Mhm,
of working with it. But
mhm,
in the beginning, you just practice.
mhm.
And so you use different things and you find out, did that work? No, I feel worse. Okay,
Uh-huh,
now what
uh-huh.
do I need to do? So you practice. Now, I also have the gift of having guides that work with me.
Okay, uh-huh. Mhm,
Because when you ask, how do you know? Well, I, Ellen, don't know. I
uh-huh.
have no idea, Beth, when I open my mouth, what's going to come out.
Oh, okay, okay.
I have no idea. But after 32 years of
Uh-huh,
working with these
uh-huh.
guides, I trust that they know.
Oh, and so they're guiding your voice to where they know that your person that you're working with needs the the sound to go.
Yes, absolutely. But we can absolutely learn through trial and error how to work with ourselves.
Mhm,
And we can all pray,
mhm,
whether, to whomever.
mhm,
Sometimes you might believe in God or spirit or angels or the trees or the earth,
mhm,
whatever you may
mhm,
believe in, to ask to be guided.
mhm. That's
So that
available.
you,
Mhm,
yeah, and so that you know you're not alone. Because I think a lot of issues with addiction, and saying it that way because I know your show gears specifically in that area, is that we often feel alone.
Yes. Yes.
We often feel like nobody could ever understand us. No, there's nobody here to support me. Even when we can be sitting in a room with other people, there's a level of existential aloneness.
Yeah. There's a lot of hiding and covering, masking when you're dealing with addiction too.
Absolutely. And talk about guilt. It's like, oh my goodness. I mean, I think that, say you're attempting to get sober and you go off for a day or a week or 5 weeks or 5 months or 5 years. I think the guilt, it builds and it builds and it builds and it becomes almost like an entity of itself. And so we don't want anybody to see that. We don't want to see it. And so we disconnect not only from other people, but from ourselves.
Yes, that isolation is so dangerous.
Yes.
Yeah, Joy has definitely struggled with that. And I've struggled with that, trying to keep in connection with him seriously to save his life, because when he disconnects, he uses psychedelics and could easily do something really stupid while on a trip, because he doesn't do it with a guide or a trip sitter. So, or he uses cough medicine that totally dissociates him. Like he'll take a whole box of Benadryl at a time, which is deadly, and or Coricidin. That stuff is so deadly. If you're a parent and have teenagers in the house, please lock up your cough medicine. Actually, lock up all of your meds. Just lock them all up, because the kids get into everything and they take way more than you think they're going to. So the stuff that he does when he's feeling isolated is deadly. And it's really terrifying. So it's one of the reasons I've tried whatever relapse, whatever he's doing, to stay connected, which is it's
and so
tricky.
Beth, okay, so if you're like a parent like Beth and you are not in, say, physical contact with your son or daughter or loved one who's dealing with addiction, what you can do, and I love this, and in fact, I think we should do it today, is you can connect with Joey through sound.
Nice. Let's do it. How do you do that?
Okay. So let's imagine that there are chords that you can be connected to his heart. Now, the thing about using chords is that I don't want you then to take on any of his pain. Gotcha. So actually, I'm not going to use chords. I take it back because you're too sensitive, and I think you'll take it on, and I don't want. I do
tend to do that. Yes.
Yeah, and so let's just send him love with the sound.
Okay.
All right, and I think a beautiful way is to imagine the sound going through his third eye, through his throat, and through his heart.
Okay.
And at the very end, we will ground it through his feet so that he feels connected to the earth.
Nice. Right? Okay.
So right now, I want you to practice. So I want you to imagine that you can sense the sound that he's needing through his third eye so that he can see more of himself. What sound or color, because sound and color are the same, comes to you?
Ooh, and ooh, and nice and high.
Perfect.
I don't know what that means, but that's what came.
Excellent. All right. So right now we're going to do that together. Okay. And so you want it to be a high sound, a high pitch. Okay. All right. So take a breath, and now I want you to envision him whole and healthy. I'm going to send that sound. And any of you, if you want to work along with us, you can do the same. Just envision Joey or your loved one healthy and whole, no matter what's going on for them. And let's sound the sound ooh. can just breathe and just feel. How does that feel to send him love through the ooh?
That was pretty delicious. It felt like I was doing something. I don't know what it was, but it felt like, because there's so much I feel helpless about, but it felt like I could do that. I feel like, yeah, maybe he felt that, or maybe he on some level feels that. I can easily
It
do
might
that.
be interesting later on to see, because he
Yeah.
has no idea
Okay.
that you're sending this to him. It may be interesting to see later on what happened for him.
Yeah, I'm looking at the clock. Hey, Joey, what were you doing at 2:10 on Wednesday?
Okay, so now imagine his throat. What sound comes to you that he needs?
The first sound that came to mind was an O.
I got the same thing.
Did you?
Exactly the
Ding, ding,
same
ding,
thing.
ding, ding.
Yes, exactly the same thing. All right. So this time, envision his throat and envision the sound with love and nourishment so that he can begin to speak his truth, whatever that is. Okay. And we'll do it on an O.
Okay.
And what tone? Did you hear any tones or just the vowel?
Oh, right around there.
Good. Okay. And it feels like it needs one more time. Do you agree?
Okay, sure.
Yes. Okay, let's do it one more time. That felt so much better. The first time it kind of felt resistant, like I felt resistance coming back at me. And that's why I said, let's do it one more time.
Nice.
All right. And now into his beautiful heart. What sound do you, what vowel?
Oh, the sound I got was a hum, so maybe that doesn't work. Do you have to have a
Yeah,
vowel?
no,
A hum?
hums totally work.
Okay.
Okay. So you hum it on any vowel you want, and I'll hum along with you.
Okay.
Okay, so envision his beautiful heart. I'm going to hum. And what I love about you getting a hum is that a hum sound closes the sound. So it's like a closed circuit. And it may be that he was too open and that he's needing to close down.
He does get he has a very open heart, and that does get him into trouble sometimes. Yeah.
All right. And then we're going to do the last time through his feet. So what sound comes to you through his feet so that he is grounded?
The first sound that came to mind was an ooh, and nice and low, I guess, because we keep going down the body. So a low
Perfect.
ooh.
Perfect. A low ooh. All right. So we're going to do a very low ooh. So, how did that feel for you to do?
That felt very connecting. I love that. I felt connected to Joey. I can't wait to talk to him and see if he...
It's going to be very interesting. Okay. So, if you are like Beth and you're not physically close, and sometimes it's hard to be connected when people are either actively using or on their journey, healing journey, you can connect with them through sound. So I think I like what you said, which is sometimes you feel hopeless and you don't know what to do.
Yes.
Or feel like you can do anything. Yeah. This you can do all the time.
Oh, that was a beautiful gift. Thank you so much. This is so great. Yeah, because much of my life lately has been letting go. Letting go. I guess I got to let go some more. Let go, let go, let go. But this is a way that I can keep connected with him, but it doesn't ask him to do anything, right? I'm not telling him do this, do that, which is what I used to do. I used to just fix him and try to problem solve for him. So I can't do that
Right.
anymore. So, but this is something that I can do and he can receive if he wants up in his spirit world or wherever it lands. And
Absolutely.
even if he doesn't get it, even if he doesn't grab it, it helps me.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it's, the sound cannot harm him.
Mm-hmm.
And if he's not ready to receive it, then he doesn't.
Right. It's just a
So
closed door, but
I think it's a win-win for everybody.
yeah, I think so
Yeah.
too. Well, how does it work? How does sound healing work? Does anyone know? Is it
Does
just a
anybody know?
mystery or is it?
There's lots of theories about how it works. There is a man named Fabian Maman who's done a great deal of research. And what he did in the 80s is he did these research on uterine cancer cells. And he applied sound to the cancer cells, asking the question, can I change the nature of the cell to no longer be a cancer cell?
Wow.
And he applied, all sorts of instruments. And in the end, he was able to change the nature of the uterine cancer cell by using the voice.
Wow.
And so what he said was that the voice is the most powerful instrument because it has its own consciousness.
Oh, yeah. 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 It's not external instrument. It's part of your own whole self, right?
Right. Right. And it also has its own consciousness beyond us.
Oh. Oh, I'm going to have to think about that for a little bit here.
And, today sound is being used more and more in medicine. Think of an ultrasound.
Oh, I never thought of that. That's what it is.
Right?
It's sound. What is it? A high frequency sound?
A very high
That you can't hear at all?
No. And there are other new sound kind of ultrasounds coming. Actually, I can't think of the name of it, but other kinds of therapies where sound is being used. And I believe going into the future, we will be able to learn a lot more than we know now. But what we know is that we can change the vibration of a cell. And what are human beings made out of but cells?
Yeah.
So you can change yourself down to the cellular nature by using sound.
Wow. Okay, this is blowing my mind a little bit. I have to really kind of soak this all in. It's really pretty intense. Thinking how big this is, right? It's
Yes.
like
Yes. In fact, there was a man who, what was his name? He was an incredible healer, and he said that sound will be the greatest healer in the future.
wow. And guess what? Pharmaceutical companies cannot buy it.
Right. It cannot be.
And it can't be. Can you abuse sound? I don't think so. I don't.
Well, there are ways that people can abuse sound. Absolutely.
I suppose.
I mean, anything can be abused. But for the way that most people will utilize it, no. But you do need to, be thoughtful and about how you're using it, right? I mean, you don't want to use it for not good things.
Yeah, I suppose, yes, like anything.
But they found, even in the early, 2003, there was a scientist did a study at the Michigan State University, and it showed that listening to music can significantly increase the levels of interleukin-1 in the bloodstream. Interleukins are a family of proteins associated with blood and platelet production. So that can affect, many different diseases and give us cellular protection against AIDS, cancer, and other diseases.
Wow.
So participants in the study who listened to music were able to reduce their levels of cortisol, stress hormone, that can depress the immune system by as much as 25%.
Wow. Well, I love that because I'm a musician, and is music and
Yeah.
sound healing like what we just did? Is it the same thing or is it different
It is
modality?
different in that I'm using intention.
That's the difference. Okay.
But if you are a musician who uses intention to use it for healing, then it's the same
Yes.
thing. Absolutely.
Well, and how many times have I cried? Like, even if I wasn't trying to, if a piece of music can just hit me between the eyes,
Absolutely.
music is very powerful that way. It can get in the dark corners that, maybe your mind or your rational thought can't get. The music can.
I think that's part of it is it
Yeah.
goes beyond our rational thinking,
Yeah.
which is really helpful,
Yes.
because it brings us to a different place in our being than we can normally get to through logical or rational, what we call rational thinking. So yeah.
One of the things I've done to help me survive Joey's adolescence is I've been taking taiko lessons, the Japanese
Mm.
taiko drums. It
Oh
is so
yes.
amazing. The vibrations of those giant drums are so they can practically knock you over. You can feel them in your
Right.
body, at least when you're not on Zoom. Oh gosh, taking drum lessons on Zoom is so not fun, but it's better than nothing.
Right.
But when we got to the studio again, almost every single time I go to class, the very first warm-ups, I start to cry.
Absolutely. So this is a sound healing that you're doing to yourself.
Yeah, I don't even know. I mean, what would happen if I put some intention into it? Wow, I'd be unstoppable.
Well, I think you should try it. It would be
Yeah.
really interesting to get very intentional and to
Uh-huh.
see, if you want to use the sound for, say, that session of releasing anger, releasing
Uh-huh.
frustration, releasing your sadness,
Uh-huh.
releasing grief. Would be curious to see what would
Ah,
happen. Yeah.
fabulous. Now,
Yeah.
I've been to a sound bath where there's been a whole bunch of crystal bowls and gongs,
Right.
and is that using the same concepts, but just with a whole bunch of things and with a group?
Yes,
Is it?
absolutely. And so, in fact, we're going to end today with the sound
Okay.
bowl. And so, different sound bowls will do different things. So, this sound bowl opens the heart chakra.
Okay. Is it
And
because of a
so,
different frequency? Because the
yes,
sizes are different, so the frequencies hit you differently.
absolutely.
Gotcha.
Yeah. And, that's a form of sound healing. The bowls, a gong, bells, any
Mhm.
sounds at all
Mm,
can be used for sound healing.
nice.
So I think a lot of it is also with your intention
Okay. Very
of
good.
what you're intending to happen.
Mhm.
So for this sound healing, what would you like to intend for those people who are listening?
Oh, wow. Okay. Let me think about this. Ah, I can I ask for compassion? Like
Oh,
more compassion for
absolutely.
their loved ones or themselves?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I want to say something about compassion because I think it's misunderstood. I think sometimes people feel like, well, if I have compassion, does that mean I'll just let anybody do anything,
Mm.
walk all over me? And, how does that work? And true compassion is knowing your boundaries.
Mm.
So when we have true compassion for ourselves and for others, we know what my boundaries are and we know
Mhm.
what the other
Mm.
person's boundaries are. And then we hold everything in between with compassion.
Nice. It's a
So,
very nice way to say that.
yeah. Alrighty. So, all that I want those of you who are listening is to just come into a comfortable place. So that you can just allow yourself to settle in and find a place where you can close your eyes and bring your attention into your heart chakra. And for those of you who don't know what the heart chakra is, just imagine where your heart is
Mhm.
and find your attention there, and then just receive the sound of compassion.
Okay.
And taking a nice deep breath. Allowing yourselves to just notice, how do you feel now?
Ah, that was so nice. I had, it felt like an energy that was radiating up and out from my heart. It was like warm and very energized, very vibrant energy coming up and out. And I felt a loosening in my jaw about halfway through. So I don't know what that means.
Lovely. It means that you're going to be able to be more compassionate with yourself, because we tend to hold a lot of judgment in our jaws, a lot of our fears and concerns and constrictions.
Feeling like I can't say what I need to say, right?
Exactly.
Well, watch out, whoever I'm running into tonight. I'll say whatever I need to say. Sorry, Jan.
With compassion.
Yeah, with compassion. It'll be full of compassion. Oh, that was just beautiful. Thank you so much.
Oh, you're welcome.
Thank you so much. This has been great. How can people get a hold of you?
The easiest way is to go up to my website, which is ellennewhouse.com. Or if you're interested in learning more about my journey that may help your journey, you can also go up to Amazon and look for my book, Nothing Ever Goes On Here.
Yeah. Would you like to talk about your one woman show, or is that?
Oh, I would, but right now it's on hiatus because of COVID. So
COVID.
It was so just briefly, the one woman show was created by Jolene Adams, and it is based on my memoir, Nothing Ever Goes On Here. And it was incredible, if I might say so myself. It was an hour and 25 minutes, and I performed 41 characters in that time without any makeup or wardrobe change.
Do you have a background in acting?
I did.
Okay,
yes.
okay. So
I was an actress many, many years ago.
Okay, good. Phew. I'm like, how did you do that? That's amazing. So maybe someday when COVID clears up more and people go out to the theater.
I think the next iteration that the current plan is that Jolene will create it into a movie.
A one-woman movie, or put actual characters to it?
No, there will be actual characters.
Oh, okay.
I will play my mother in that movie.
Oh, wow. That will be healing, I'm sure.
Yes.
And probably really difficult.
Yes, and it was very healing to play her in the show. She was one of my favorite characters because as her daughter, I wanted her to be different. But in the show, she got to be exactly who she was.
Fascinating. Yeah. Well, whatever that creative work is that you did for your show, it will transform now, thanks to COVID, into something even bigger that more people will be able to see. So
from your mouth to God's ears, I hope so.
It sounds so amazing. I wish I could have seen it. Well, thank you so much, Ellen. This has been delightful. I feel like I just got such a big treat today. I got to be on the receiving end of all that healing energy you have. Thank you so much.
And thank you.
Thank you all for listening and supporting Safe Home Podcast. Just please spread the word. If you think that this episode or any of our episodes would help another family, other teens or parents, or anyone struggling with addiction or pain or stuckness in any way, please share this with them, and that would really help us out and help. I don't know, I'm sure Ellen is the same way. We just want to help people to have more fulfilling and true lives for themselves. So
and as we heal ourselves, we heal the world, because each one of us is a vibration that bringing ourselves to the collective raises the vibration of the whole world. So nothing that you do for you is done in isolation.
Right.
Yeah.
It all helps.
So let's
everybody.
all raise the vibration of the planet.
Woohoo! Excellent. Now, I will list all of the links that Ellen mentioned in this episode. I'll list those in the show notes. Please also find Safe Home Podcast on YouTube and Facebook and Instagram and Twitter, and share with your friends. And I also wanted to remind you that we do have a Patreon account. It's at patreon.com/safehome. It's a great way to support the podcast, helping us maintain this commercial-free enterprise. And I want to welcome our newest Patreon member, and thank you so much to Susan Shaw, who joined Patreon this week. Thank you so much. So thank you again for listening. Ellen and I really want you to stay safe.